Welcome to Quick Car Tips. In this video, we are going to talk about how pressure car tires should have. But if you are just looking for a quick answer, let's cut to the chase with the most basic details. It's a very simple operation, as the pressure levels are usually indicated just inside the driver's door pillar, inside the fuel cap, or sometimes in the user manual. You can adjust a tire's pressure at the gas station air hose or with your own pump. At some, you have to set the pressure beforehand, and on others, you just inflate until you reach the correct pressure. In any case, the rest of the process is the same. Unscrew the cap and put it in safe place so you don't lose it. Squeeze the lever on the hose and place it on the stem of your tire valve. Press it in well and release the lever. Then you simply inflate to the correct pressure. Just that? Not really. There are several tips to bear in mind in order to do it correctly. Otherwise, you could be driving with the wrong pressure, damage the tires, and even end up having a blowout. So, now I will tell you in which situations you should inflate them to a different pressure other than the one stated by the manufacturer. Situations which are more frequent than you would expect. Number 1. When your tires are warm. The pressures referred by the manufacturer are for when your tires are cold. If you have been driving already, they will have heated up and the pressure measured them will be somewhat higher. About 4.5 psi more. Driving on the road or highway for more than 2 miles is more than enough to alter the measurement. For a real-life example, we took a trip at 75 miles an hour. At the start, pressure was 32 psi. After driving 30 miles on the highway, the pressure increased to 36.5, which confirms the 4.5 increase we mentioned before. When they cool down, this difference will disappear, returning to the 32 psi we had at the beginning. You would normally have to wait 3 to 4 hours for this. For that reason, when measuring warm tire pressures, you should take that difference into account. If we had stopped during this trip and found ourselves with less pressure, 34 psi for example, we should always increase the pressure to 36.5 and not lower it as somebody who didn't know this would. Otherwise, when they cool down, they will fall below the manufacturer specifications. Beware! Another reason to not let air out of the tire in these circumstances is that you should never lower tire pressures on a warm tire. Number 2. Higher pressures in very cold winters. The pressure levels on the label are set at approximately 68 degrees Fahrenheit. At very lower temperatures, it's advisable to increase the tire pressures at a rate of 1.5 psi for every 20 degrees Fahrenheit lower. For example, at 28 degrees, we would have to increase the pressure by 3 psi higher than what the manufacturer tells us. Number 3. Driving with greater loads. In this case, we are not going to talk about the obvious. That is, the higher pressures that come in the instructions for carrying a full load. Although it is not stated explicitly, it does not hurt to take the intermediate pressure into account. In this model, if we travel at half load, we can inflate the tires to 36.5 psi at the front and 37.5 at the rear. What you should definitely take into account is increasing the pressure of the rear wheels when traveling with a trailer. You will have to inflate them with 5 or 6 psi more to prevent the tires deforming too much or even end up bursting. Number 4. If we leave the car stationary for a long time. Another circumstance in which a higher pressure is appropriate is when we are not going to use the car for several months. Otherwise, they could become permanently deformed from lying flat on the same side for so long. It depends on the vehicle, but a pressure of 46 psi is usually more than enough to eliminate this problem. Just be careful to not exceed the maximum pressure indicated in the sidewall of the tire. When to use a lower pressure. It's not advisable to drive with less pressure in almost any circumstance. The tires will deform more and rise in temperature at high speed, which can lead to a blowout. If this occurs in a particularly hot day, with the tarmac at a very high temperature, the chances of failure are even higher. Hence, in hot areas such as deserts, it's a preventive measure to increase the pressure on long trips, which, when you think about it, can be added to the list of circumstances when you increase the pressure. Coming back to the situations in which it's convenient to lower it, almost all of these are, in reality, reserved for off-road driving with cars designed for that purpose. Lower pressure off-road tires are better suited to uneven or soft terrain and increase the contact surface on the ground. As the speeds in these circumstances are much lower, they will not get hot enough to become damaged. There certainly is one situation when both off-road and road cars can benefit from lower pressure. If you've gotten stuck in snow, partially flat tires will help you to get out of trouble. However, once you are out, you must raise the pressure again to drive safely. Therefore, in those circumstances, you will need a portable compressor. We will also add that some people reduce the pressure slightly to gain some comfort on very bumpy streets. We strongly advise against this for several reasons. Firstly, the tire will wear more prematurely on the sides. Secondly, you will lose grip when turning due to its greater deformation. And finally, that it's very easy to forget to increase the pressure when driving at high speed on the road, which would mean overheating and increasing the chances of a blowout. In short, the approximate pressure increasers are 4.5 psi more with warm tires, 1.5 psi more for every 20 degrees below 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 5 or 6 psi more on the rear wheels with a trailer, and about 46 psi if we leave the car stationary for a long time. It also doesn't hurt to take into account pressures at half load or a slight increase with long trips through very hot areas. The circumstances for reduced pressures are limited to removing a car stuck in snow, increasing them right after, or for improving off-road grip in difficult situations at low speed. And that's it. We hope you found it interesting. If so, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We will continue to publishing content like this every week. Until next time.